Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Black Heart, the Hustle Continua. 100% good quality t-shirts, made to inspire your goals and dreams. T-shirts are now available at an affordable price. Place your order now. 068-473-6908. Instagram at Black7576. Facebook page Black Heart.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, King 053, Mr. Easy Imali, Eneng, and we're back at it again with another one. And in this segment, I want us to get answers to the following questions when it comes to Umkhonto wesizwe. Is Umkhonto wesizwe a violent political party? What is the motivation behind the formation of Umkhonto wesizwe by Jacob Zuma? What is their view on the education and land policies? Who is going to lead us in Umkhonto wesizwe? Who are going to be the leaders of Umkhonto wesizwe? We're going to get all of those answers because there was an interview where Umkhonto Ndlela was at Newsroom Africa and he gave answers to all of these questions. Some clarity of which the followers of Umkhonto wesizwe desperately needed. Now the ANC in KZN is accusing Umkhonto wesizwe of recruiting mafias into their political party and causing, inciting violence in the KZN area, and also making sure that there is no progress in terms of the growth of constructions development in KwaZulu-Natal. Such big claims cannot be left alone. That's why Umkhonto Ndlela was in Newsroom Africa to clarify these types of allegations. It's very important. Let's quickly listen to how the ANC accused Umkhonto wesizwe of violence in KwaZulu-Natal and how Umkhonto, Mr. Ndlela, answered. By the way, Ndlela is the national spokesperson of Umkhonto wesizwe. Listen to this.
The establishment of the MK party may ferment violence in KwaZulu-Natal. And again, I'm not going to put words in any of these leaders' mouths. Moments ago, I had a conversation with the secretary of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, Bheki Mtolo. I'd like for us to listen just briefly to what he had to say around these concerns of possible violence.
For example, the MK party, if I can put it that way, they've attracted some notorious characters. For example, the so-called construction mafias, not black entrepreneurs that do genuine business, but those who don't have a company, who don't do business, who just go with guns and stop projects. All of those people, they've now joined the MK party, and then they've been stopping development in KwaZulu-Natal. They've been stopping projects. They've been affecting our communities, and then we know how they operate. But we are not scared. We are ready for them. We are putting plans, and then once they start that violence, the police will come hard on them.
How do you respond to those comments?
It's rather unfortunate that right in the middle of a campaign after, MK party has been announced, that, people want to opportunistically politic on very serious issues and incite violence. MK party is a very peaceful party. We are a party of the people. As you have seen from the meet and greets, you see old women, you see young kids, you see youth, and that's what we're about. This continues, even with the Minister of Police, which was very, very disturbing, by the way. For him to make comments such as bury President Zuma, that is totally irresponsible. It is totally irresponsible of even Mtolo himself to be making such comments, because in of its nature, it's inciting violence. But again, it's very characteristic of the ANC to do such. It shows that they're very desperate. They are very concerned about the fact that Umkhonto wesizwe is going to take over KZN. They must forget about leading, and these are clearly people that are not geared to lead at all.
We'll talk.
Now, and I'm so happy Unka Mulonjela, addressed this type of issues, and it's good that the questions were asked after the allegation was made, because it's so very unfortunate for the ANC to be taking this type of tactic or this type of stance. Number one, if you have any evidence of construction mafias that has been recruited by Umkhonto wesizwe, you need to supply that evidence and put it to the police. You don't have to wait for the violence to start. The intelligence of the police need to get in and do their job, especially in a province like KZN, because in KZN, calling someone a mafia or inkabi or whatever, it's a very serious allegation. People are losing their lives in KwaZulu-Natal at rates that are unparalleled to any province. Now, Upegi Mtolo is building up excuses for the ANC. I believe is building up excuses for the ANC so that they can have, should they lose KwaZulu-Natal, they can have an excuse to ride on. You don't say such things. If the ANC is strong in KwaZulu-Natal, and I believe they are strong, but their strength has weakened, but they are a party that you can reckon that they will get some numbers in KwaZulu-Natal. They should focus on the campaigning of getting more voters, not being focused on Umkhonto wesizwe. Because you can see clearly, Umkhonto wesizwe is focused on Umkhonto wesizwe. And for me, I haven't seen any signs or anything that suggests that Umkhonto wesizwe is a violent political party. You guys can go in the comment section and just tell me, maybe I've missed something on the news. You guys know I don't have a TV. I was one of those people who decided to unplug from mainstream media. So anything I see and I get is usually on YouTube. If it's not on YouTube, my goodness, I'm not a social media person. You understand? I do have Facebook accounts. Follow me in all your social media accounts at King Said So everywhere, on Facebook, YouTube, King Said So on X, King Said So on Instagram, to get to know me better if you wish to. But for me, I haven't seen any signs that Umkhonto wesizwe are a violent party, and to make claims that they are recruiting, they are stopping the development of KwaZulu-Natal, as if this construction mafia started only on the 16th of December last year, because that's when the president announced that he's putting some weight behind Umkhonto wesizwe. So from the 16th of December until now, this so-called construction mafias has stopped the growth of KwaZulu-Natal. Is very careless and silly for him to make a statement like that. You guys just go in the comment sections and tell me, what do you think? Another issue that I had with Umkhonto wesizwe, and especially with what Jacob Zuma said out of his own mouth, and I was happy that this question was asked, was the question of him saying he will die the ANC. I want to explain that, but before I explain that, let the spokesperson of KwaZulu-Natal, the spokesperson of Umkhonto wesizwe explain it first.
Have you had a conversation with former President Jacob Zuma to say, what is this that you are trying to create? On the one hand, you're campaigning for the MK party. I would say, if I were you, you're campaigning for us, but you also say at the same time you're going to die an ANC member. Connect the two.
No, President Zuma, like I said, firstly has got the right to campaign for whatever party he wants to campaign for. President Zuma stated on the 16th of December that he will die an ANC member. Now, what is also important to note is that He is doing so because this ANC is an ANC. This ANC does not. This ANC of Ramaphosa is not the ANC that ought to represent him, because campaigning for this ANC will be a perpetuation of the challenges that we are faced with. Load shedding, dilapidated infrastructure, and now water shedding that's rearing its ugly head. Fact. So that's what President Zuma is doing.
Now, for me, as an analyst, when I heard Jacob Zuma saying he's going to fix the ANC from outside, I was thinking this guy still has ambitions of going back to the ANC. This is how I view things. You guys will just tell me. I felt like this guy still feel at 82 years old, he feels that he can still go back to the ANC and do some type of contribution and have some type of contribution. I was worried about that because I was like, you had your term, it's 2 terms actually, 9 years. Those 9 years were fruitful years. They were not wasted to any degree. Yes, South Africa could have done better, but South Africa did good under Jacob Zuma. He is now 80 years old plus, and he's talking about he will die the ANC. After thinking about that statement a little bit longer, because he was speaking now about the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa is not the ANC of old. Then I thought, what if the ANC is not a political party, but it is an idea? You guys get what I'm saying? The ideas and the morals that the ANC stood for is what Jacob Zuma feels like he will die in or die for. So when he says, I will die for the ANC or I will die in the ANC, he means he will die for what the ANC used to believe in. For me, I think if they explain it like that, they will clarify and clear the air with the confusion it brings when he says, no, I'm ANC till I die. I'm ANC till I die. I'm ANC meaning I'm that ANC that we built. By we, I don't mean me. I mean both Jacob Zuma and them. That ANC that we built, the ANC for the people and the ANC by the people and the ANC that will fight for the land, the ANC that will do all of those great things is the ANC I will die in. And not particular the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa, of which is the ANC of now. I don't know if I'm making any sense. So for me, that's what he meant. That's how I analyzed what he meant. He maybe could not articulate it properly, and that's why the confusion is there with the spokesperson. You can hear he's a little bit dribbling around his words and not saying it clear that it is the ideas of the ANC that Cyril Ramaphosa, Jacob Zuma will die in or die as from the ANC and not the ANC political party as it stands. Let's quickly also listen to what exactly does the MK represent. Wow, what a beautiful interview that Mr. Ndlela had. Listen to this.
And so let's talk about what it is that the MK party represents or brings to the political life of South Africa. What is it that you stand for?
Well, what we stand for, number one, is to represent the people, first and foremost, and organically so. And how we're going to do that is we need to change the Constitution. That's first and foremost. It is the legal framework that doesn't meet the requirements, nor does it represent our people.
Change which part of the Constitution?
Well, firstly, is as it pertains to land. We need to reverse the gains of land that are owned by the few. And therefore, it needs to be returned back to the traditional leaders. And that's why I've been engaging with traditional leaders, traditional and religious leaders, and civil society. People have been displaced. What was signed, and that effectively being the sunset clause. So we need to reverse that. Another element of the Constitution, if you may, is as it pertains to education. And it says, we should get basic education. That's why we're getting the kind of results we're getting, because we're basic. We need to change overhaul the whole education system. As I'd also mentioned before, the syllabus in of itself needs to change in its entirety.
Mr. Ndlela, people listening to you right now, they may find difficulty in taking to heart what you are saying. You want to change the constitution in order for the land to be taken back to traditional leaders. Can I give you a living example of what the complaint has been? A very prominent one around the Ingonyama Trust. There are people who have complained that that is designed or has been designed to benefit the king of Amazulu and perhaps close members of the family, and instead the subjects are meant to pay rent, communal rent, perpetually, and this does not seem to benefit them in any way. Is that your vision of a people who were previously landless, who will now gain land under those or under that kind of leadership?
No, I think what is important here is we're going to have a grassroots organic approach in terms of how we go about that process. And I think that's important to note. We're not going to use a template on the basis of an existing situation and or existing example as you shared. What is important, and as what we've been saying continuously, is that we need to consult organically, understand what is the best way of transitioning and ensuring that all parties are mutually beneficial to all parties. So I'm not going to get into a point where I'm going to discuss the Ngonyama Trust model. We're still far from that. We still have to discuss that in terms of how we go about it. Mm-hmm. But the principle stands that we have to change the constitution to ensure that the land is reversed back to the people.
Now, there's quite a few things that he covers in his answer to what exactly does the Umkhonto wesizwe represent. And he clearly says it represents the people, it stands for the people, it wants to change the constitution. I can't stress that more than it's supposed to be. The Constitution of South Africa, even though it is a world acclaimed one of the best constitutions in the world, the reason for that is because it did not touch on the properties of white people. That's the only reason, that out of being enslaved, out of suffering apartheid for 300 years, we still came up and say, it's fine, white people, we forgive you. That's why our constitution was one of the best, because we kissed the master's ass after he freed us from the physical chains, because the master knew that the mental chains will remain for generations to come. And they're still there. They're still there. You speak to people, you see the comments on these videos that I post, and you can't help but to feel like, my people, when are they gonna wake up? And that's another thing that Mr. Ndlela covered, is that the educational system, this basic educational system, needs to change. And that's why in this channel we are aiming to build the first Pan-African school, independent, black independent school here in South Africa, because the educational system of South Africa is shit. It teaches you how to be a worker. That's it. It does not teach you how to think out of the box. It does not even tell you that there is a box in the first place. So we are looking to educate the young people in groups so that the next generation can be better equipped to fight this thing of one Africa, one land, one Africa, one president. It's possible. And one Africa, one language is possible. One Africa, one currency is possible. And one Africa, definitely one army. You understand what I'm trying to say to you? So this thing of returning the land to traditional traditional leaders, it's good, but traditional leaders need to understand that the land is not theirs. They are custodian over it to make sure that the distribution is fair. You understand? So if the traditional leaders can look at themselves as an office that distributes land according to the needs of the people, and not the office that owns land and keeps it and does as it pleases with it, like you know, with the Ngwenyama trust that there were fights and there were court fights and everything. People wanting land, and land not being distributed the way the people want to. is because some traditional leaders believe on keeping and controlling the land. It's not supposed to be like that. It was never like that. In the olden days, and even in some instances, even in today's day, I come from Kwandebele, when the Ndebele kingdom rules. I got land because the king knows my family. You understand what I'm saying? They know my father. They know we grew up there. We came. We were looking for land. I'm telling you, a big plots of land, 4 of them that we got, because we are the children of that soil. You understand what I'm saying? But then, if the king is going to use politics in the land issue, it's going to affect the children of that land, and the land belongs to the people, controlled um, or distributed, rather, for a lack of a better word, by the king, the traditional king's traditional office. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. They are just there to do the administration of the land, because they have anyway, because they are the royal family, the majority of the land anyway. But the rest of the land, they need to um, distribute it equally and according to the needs of the people of that land. So let's listen to the last clip, and a very important one. Who are the leaders of Umkhonto wesizwe? When are they going to announce their top 6? What is going on? Is who's this guy of FISMA Fall? Is he the youth league president? What is going on? We need direction, and Mr. Ndlela gave answers to all those questions.
I've got to conclude the conversation on this final question, and that is that, is the MK party designing policy as it goes along? Is there even any document that you are using right now? Because initially you spoke about land being taken back to traditional leaders in order for that land to then be transferred, hopefully, to the people of the country. And we raised issues around that, and then you sort of changed. It would seem to me that there is nothing firm that you have right now that you are selling to South Africans. Who's the leader of the MK party? Can we just conclude the conversation there? Who is the leader of this party?
Well, let's start by saying, unlike the principles or the behavior of what you'd see within the ANC, where people, just find themselves appointed in positions, we have an interim structure. Firstly, it's not the first time that a political party will be going into elections with an interim structure. It has happened with Action SA, it has happened with the EFF, and we'll submit a list accordingly. The decision in terms of who leads will be determined by the people. That's why we're continuously engaging in rallies and meet and greets throughout the country, because that decision needs to be organic. Whoever leads MK party must be appointed by the people, and that's the fundamental principle here. We're not going to impose a top-down approach where we're going to just decide who must lead the people, and when the people don't even know who that person is. So those are principles within the MK party which are fundamental. The issue of the constitution of the ANC or the manifesto, also as part of the engagement, nationally we are engaging grassroots, because our manifesto has to be on the basis of the people that should represent it. Exactly that in terms of the constitution too. So we are going through a process. Another point as it pertains to that you should also know is that we have experts. We have very learned people, former professors, doctors, very highly educated individuals that form committees that are designing and influencing policies on our behalf, and drafting those policies, which at a later stage we'll present. But we still have to consult with the grassroots people and on the ground, and that's what's important for us right now.
All right.
Now, when the interim president, Ujabulani Khumalo, said they're going to announce the top 6 before the end of January, I said it early in January. If you watch my videos about Umkhonto, I said this is a wrong idea. Do not appoint any leaders up until the election happens. And I like it that the spokesperson says, no, we have an interim leadership structure. Interim is just people that are appointed so that at least there can be voices such as him to say, okay, there's a spokesperson, there's an interim president, there's a face of campaigning, Jacob Zuma, and Umkosinati, Ubonginkosi will lead the youth and all of that. So that is what is happening now. And I think they should keep it there until the election results come out, and they will then have a conference where they will elect the leaders. I believe that they should keep it there because should they announce now, I think it might hurt Umkhonto wesizwe rather than doing good. You understand? So right now, just put a person there and say, this is interim. These people were not selected by you, the people of Umkhonto wesizwe. You guys, after the election, will have a chance to elect who is in the top 6 of Umkhonto wesizwe. For me, that's what I would advise them to do. The thing that disturbs me is policy. You know, he says we've got experts, doctors, and professors that are busy drafting the policy. For me, it's worrying that Umkhonto wesizwe does not have its policy right now. And I know it's gonna be difficult when you have interim leadership structures and not a formal leadership structure that was elected, because those formal elected people will be the ones who will actually draft the final constitution of the party, and not constitution, the policy of the party, and make sure that the people speak to that policy. It's going to be a difficult political party going into elections. Like they say, it's nothing new. It has happened with the PA, with Action SA. It's gonna happen with Bossa. It's gonna happen with many other parties that we can point out. But I'm saying, it's worrying, because then what is it that the people are voting for if the policy standings are not clear? That's the only thing that's worrying me about Umkhonto wesizwe. I like that they speak about land, but the financial sectors, are we speaking about state-owned banks also? Are we going to discuss it? What is going to happen there? You know, those type of things is questions that I have that I would like Umkhonto wesizwe to answer. But it looks like as time unfolds, we are slowly getting the answers, which is good for the Umkhonto wesizwe followers and subscribers, because you don't want to, as a Umkhonto wesizwe follower, member, find yourself not having answers to serious questions. I like the answer, the question of education. They said we're going to change the educational system, but you don't know how. You don't know what is it that you're going to introduce. You don't know, those type of questions. For me, they are very important. So you can go to the EFF and read the 7 pillars of the EFF, and you can go to the Moonpack short. They've got also the 9 pillars there that they just released right now. And you can go to many political parties, even your new Rise Mzansi, and see what is it that this political party actually stands for. And that gives you clarity as to, do you want to vote for that political party or not? Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Guys, if you are enjoying the content, feel free to join the family. You are at home. Whatever way you can contribute, whether it's a like, whether it's a subscribe, whether it's a thank you there underneath, you click a thank you and choose an amount to donate to the channel. Whether you want to formally join the channel as a member for only 20 Rand, 60 Rand, 100 Rand, whatever you feel like, there is options there. And I believe that, the journey that we're going to have together, you definitely not going to regret it. Until we meet next time, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to pray. And after you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. I salute you. Peace in Pan-Africanism.